Ladies and gentlemen and variations thereof, welcome to the Selectives Lorecast, a casual Elder Scrolls podcast. My name is Rotten Deadite, and with me today are...
That
Andrew?
is me,
Felix.
Felix, also known as Banu Hanamasaishi.
And it is I, Andrew, also known as the White Guar.
Okay, and wow, and today we're doing Sermon 26. We did 24 and 25 yesterday, or the last cast. And
yes, yesterday, because time is a fuck. Welcome to the dawn.
Yep. And so 26 is it's another child hunting sermon. Jesus, that sounds terrible. Oh God.
You know what? It doesn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I have to say, not crazy about people killing their own children. I'm just putting that out there. Just, that's the decision I'm starting to come to. So we start off the same way we've been starting off all of these, and Vivec left his architectural rapture and went back to the space that was not a space. From the provisional house, he looked into the middle world to find the fourth monster called the Pocket Cabal. So, the Pocket Cabal is it's referred to as an monster, just one of them, but it manifests itself as a population, a large number of creatures. So this is so when we're trying to think about
similar to Horde Mountain.
Similar to Horde Mountain, exactly. And so when we're trying to think about what these creatures behave like and what they are and so on, it's odd to me that we are presented with a collection of creatures and then referred to it as a singular. And I can't tell if that's because we've got one creature like a hive mind, or maybe I'm trying to read too much into this, but hey, I mean, that's my job. It's odd that it's something that I struggle with this sermon in particular. There's a couple of things I struggle with about Sermon 26, but this is one of them, is the idea of the Pocket Cabal being a population.
Well, think of it like...
I'm sure.
Okay, a couple things, Chris. First off, you're getting paid for this? I'm surprised.
It's my job. I didn't say I was getting paid.
No, okay.
You guys are getting paid?
Yeah, that old chestnut. But I think a way of thinking of the Pocket Cabal is similar to how one can view the idea of the Khajiit collectively forming a singular tower, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that I think is the lens that makes this easiest to digest and understand.
So whether it's I'm going to kind of side on the side of a hive organism, a hive mind. But I'll explain why. Hopefully I'll remember to explain why later. The monster hid itself in the spell lists of the great chimera wizards of the extreme east. This is, of course, the Telvanni, who are on Vardenfell, on the extreme eastern side of Vardenfell. And it looks like, according to ESO, on the eastern side of Morrowind itself.
Yep, Telvanni Peninsula.
Yeah. There's a northern tip, just the tip of the Telvanni Peninsula that we haven't been able to explore yet in ESO. I don't know if we're going to get that or not. I don't know. I have no idea. But we could see more of it. And by the way, Necrom turned out to be interesting with its little bit of lore about the spikes of Necrom being the ribs of Golgamore Jill. I thought it was interesting. So the spell lists of the great chimera wizards of the extreme east. A spell list that's not actual spells. It's a list of spells. Where the Emperor Parasols grow wild, Vivec disguised himself as a simple traveler, but radiated a tenuous sense fabric so that the wizards would seek him out. Of Muwatra, he made a simple walking dwarf.
So to back up to spell lists.
Mm-hmm.
So we know it's not chimera sorcerers or chimera warlocks. It's specific. They have to be the wizard class to have that wizard spell list. That's Sorry, D&D.
suppose. Oh, okay. So Muatra, he makes himself a simple walking dwarf, and he radiates a tenuous sense fabric so that the wizards would seek him out. So Vivec's trying to attract the attention of the Telvanni. I think specifically to get to their spell lists is the idea here. Or there's been an error here, and it's supposed to read so that the wizards would not seek him out. I'm saying that would make a little bit more sense if you consider the fact that that the skill that you level when you read Sermon 26 is sneak.
No, because I think it seems like he's setting a trap.
Okay, could be.
It's I'm the bait. I want them to come to me, so I'm going to draw them to me. And when they show up and they don't realize I'm Vivec, then I show up and they're like, "Oh, we're fucked."
You know what? Let's just get this out of the way now, because I think it's probably best to just discuss this immediately instead of saving it for the end of the sermon. This sermon's actually about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why you have Marowak's spine in the Temple of the Nerevarine.
Oh, it's not even that. There's also Weeping Bell Hall in Arcing Sand in the very beginning of Morrowind.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is the Kakuna burial in the Ashlandra tombs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 Pokemon right there.
Wow.
Yeah,
learn something new every day.
Got to catch them all.
This of Muatra, he made a simple walking dwarf. What that is referencing is the chibi icon of the player sprite in Pokemon. Before long, the Invisible One was among the libraries of the East. Oh, I should mention the reason why I wanted to bring that up is there any connection between the monster, the Pocket Cabal, in other words, the pocket monsters, hiding in the spell lists? Is that a little bit like, I don't know, that could be, I doubt very seriously if anybody at Bethesda would have had knowledge of how how Pokemon was developed, because that's actually something that hackers have been picking apart for decades.
I'm thinking of it more in terms of, if you think of spell lists in terms of like categories.
Yeah.
But we have categories of Pokemon too, and their typings.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's
Grass
a good
types,
idea.
fire
Yeah.
types, water types. And then the list of Pokemon that fall into those types. And there are what, 16 types, I think?
You'd know better than me. I assume they're going to add on more every couple of games.
Gotta keep it fresh and interesting for the kids.
Pokedex.
Let's see. 1,
Before
2, 3,
long,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 18 types.
There are 18 types. Okay. Before long, the Invisible One was among the libraries of the East, feeding the essential words of the Pocket Cabal to his walking dwarf, and then running when the magic would fail. So this is obviously, capturing Pokemon and then running when he couldn't when he couldn't win a battle. After a year or two of this thievery, so again, sneak, Muatra was sick to its stomach, and the walking dwarf exploded near the slave pens of a wizard's tower. The Pocket Cabal then slipped itself into the mouths of the slaves and hid again. So, that the Pocket Cabal finds home in the mouths of slaves connects to the next sermon, which is the Sermon of the Word. Which is just a whole thing. Took me a very long time to get that one done. So Vivec then watched as the slaves erupted into babble and breaking magic. So I think what that means is that they're producing random noise and then breaking the magic of the Telvanni. They rattled their cages and sung out half hymns that formed into forbidden and arcane knowledge. Litany fiends appeared and drank from the excess. Okay, so we're back to litany fiends again. This is a demon that apparently feeds off of the recitation of magic, I suppose. But they come up in other places, I think. Pretty sure. I Google. No, I guess not. I was almost sure that they that they show up in ESO somewhere. I'm not convinced that that's not the case. That I haven't read about litany fiends in ESO, but apparently not. Grabbers from the adjacent place, came to the world sideways, like the slave talking having disrupted the normal non-cardinal points. So the random chaotic magic of the slaves that the Pocket Cabal has created is distorting reality. Grabbers from the ancient place is
Lig.
Right. People have strongly suggest that this is Lig.
Yeah, because the grabbers are supposed to be the Magna Gi, right? Because wasn't it the grabbers who imbued hope into Dagon?
I forget if it's
when
that
was
or
that?
something else.
That was
Demon Leaper King.
that's Aldudaga.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It could be. I think that what grabbers are doing is they're trying to pull bits of the actual what we call Tamriel Prime reality into other realities in order to make them more real, into Lig, for example. Part of me thinks that this is Kirkbride sort of talking about the transition, the transmission of ideas of one setting into another.
I was incorrect. It was not the Aldudaga. It was Mythodon Commentaries 4.
Okay.
Where he talks about the Magna Gi.
Tamriel Actual. Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's Tamriel Actual as a NATO radio code. I wonder.
What's a radio code?
Actual is how you just when you talk about the I guess you could call it the dispatcher commanding officer of a radio. You would talk about, like, you know, home actual or something, and that's the user on the radio channel that is distributing tasks. I don't know the exact military terminology for it, but I think I'm a little close. Anyway, so the normal non-cardinal points. So when we talk about non-cardinal, we're talking about the cardinal points of the compass, north, south, west, and east, and this disruption that the Pocket Cabal has caused is now warping space so that the grabbers can come in from the adjacent place. So, of course, a giant bug appeared with the greatest Eastern wizard inside it. Okay, so this is something I need to mention. The original concept art of a Telvanni wizard, the original idea behind the Telvanni wizards, was that they would hide themselves inside the carapaces of bugs, and then they would enchant those bugs at the carapace and then float around in them. And this was how the I mean, we already know in Morrowind the Telvanni really like levitation spells, and this is how they wanted to do things. They just wanted to lie inside of these,
The Slowed do similar things, just without the bug part. They just hover around everywhere.
And so there's concept art that Kirkbride drew of a Telvanni magister, sort of. You could see his arms, the end of his arms, kind of sticking out of this bug carapace, and there's runes and flags and things draped across it, sort of like a little mobile, like a little mini scooter that you see people driving around in Walmarts generally. Sort of redneck mages. They back up and it's beep beep beep. All right. And that's just one thing that the well, we'll get into that when we get into the what's it called 28, yeah, sermon 28. When we get into the Ruddy Man, we'll talk about wearing Daedroth, but that was a thing. So he could see past Vivec's disguise and knew of the warrior poet's divinity, but he thought himself so powerful that he talked harshly. This is going to be a mistake. See what you have wrought, silly Triune, columns of nonsense and litany fiends. I cannot believe how reason or temperance can be made whole again due to your eating. Consort with more demons, why don't you? Of course, this is the Telvanni saying, why don't you go fuck another demon prince? Vivec stabbed the wizard.
Word gets around very quickly. He was
Vivec was doing this for a couple of years. So Vivec stabbed the wizard through his soul. That's what you get. The giant bug harness fell on the slave cages, and the slaves ran around free and reckless, too reckless more with pregnant words. Colors bent into the earth. Vivec created a dome head demon to contain it all, like a big Pokeball.
That makes me think of City Face.
Yeah, well, it makes you think of City Face's concept art.
Yeah.
But at no point is City Face actually described as having a dome. But since the concept art was made by the artist, by the author, then I guess, yeah. It's a little hard to ignore that City Face is going to show up later in the sermons, and it does make me wonder if the creation of the Pocket Cabal's dome is in some way related to the dome of City Face. It also makes me wonder if it's related to the pool, the bubble of water in like Sermon 5 or 6, that there's a demon in there that has a big thing. How can you slut shame a god? I know, what a grand and intoxicating innocence.
I mean, because I also look at Dome Head Demon. Is that a Game Boy?
Oh,
The dome, like the screen.
Okay,
all
sure.
the Pokemon are now in there. No, this shit's too crazy. We're going in here. And that's what you're saying. And you can, and then I can interact with you with my my walking dwarf.
Another way of thinking of a dome-headed demon, in an Elder Scrollsy way, but also pulling some influence from real life interpretations of how the world is formed, is the old idea of the firmament, the sort of boundary, this sort of great dome that holds all the heavens and the atmosphere inside, and beyond that is like, who knows, is God's kingdom, mysteries of the ancients, etc., etc. So there's that aspect of it, which would also track very well with the idea of like spheres of influence or power, or the planets, be it like whether the Aedra or the planes of oblivion. I know some concept art back in the day, like pre-Infernal City days, also showed some people's ideas of a plane of oblivion, basically kind of being like a flat Earth. It's like, yeah, here it's sort of like, this realm, and then it's got this big dome over it, and it's kind of like a floating space station biosphere kind of
like
thing.
You're talking about the classic idea of the firmament. Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah, which is why I said firmament in the first place.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention.
I was reading.
Was it an Egyptian idea of having I think it was Nut was the goddess of the stars, and that she formed a dome over the world. I don't know how seriously they considered there being a flat Earth, or if they knew that this was a metaphor. But Nut is the sky, yeah. Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be like a dome over the planet, over the land, so to speak.
And so like I love the idea of a Pokeball, or alternatively Pac-Man head, just like munching and devouring, containing everything. Like we have fun here sometimes. Well, we're not talking about Sermon 14, and
for Christ's sake.
But I think that like that is a way of thinking of it, and that also would sort of further the idea and or the connection to City Face, and the idea, like, I already forget, even though I know we talked about it like just for people watching maybe 3 episodes ago, which in our time is like 2 months ago, is about the idea of like image, egg, man, city, God. I think is how it
God
goes.
City.
And this
it's
is kind
egg, image, man, God, city, state.
Okay, sorry. So egg, image, man, God, city, state. And so I feel like this is part of that process, with reference to like, the slave master and the slaves, and a dome to contain it all, and the freedom and the craziness and the chaos. that's really just society by any other name, am I right? Especially a reflection of, at the time, Dunmerry or Chimeri society. So I feel like in that sense, it also is worthwhile to see it that way, to understand how this is Vivec's progression to being a god with his own city full of really pissed off ordinators.
Hey, so Krazik's no wait, Tordir, who's where does Nut show up in the Old Testament, or were you talking about the shape of the earth? Just update me. So Vivec says the Pocket Cabal is therefore interred here forever. Let this be a cursed land where sorcery is broken and maligned. I'm not sure, but I think this might be a reference to the fact that Sadrith Mora looks like a really effed up swamp. The Firmament does. Okay, thank you.
Oh, let's see. Colors bent into the earth. Did that do something to the ground? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to think, because like if you play through ESO and you go to like Sadrith Mora and ESO. All of that land is walkable for the most part, even the watery parts, which I kind of hate, but I also kind of get, because like it would be a huge pain in the ass to get to Sadrith Mora if you didn't have that.
They did make some changes to the world mesh because of the way that like swimming works and stuff in ESO can make for some pretty dissatisfying interactions, but and also the fact that like the whole of Ardenfell feels much smaller in ESO, but that's just because of travel speed, movement speed. There was an area of Morrowind that spells when haywire if you use them. Yeah, it would be, Johnny. Yeah. But I mean,
so
this is the Pocket Cabal,
in
Morrowind. Hey, I wouldn't know anything about that. I used to play. I did my Morrowind playthrough with a Red Guard who was a spellcaster, and every spell he cast, he completely did like perfectly every time, and I won't hear anybody say otherwise. Then he picked up Muatra by the beard and left the ghostly hemisphere of the gold domehead demon.
I'm confused by beard. Well, not really confused.
Okay.
But is this referring to a dwarf?
Yes.
Because it's in dwarf shape, or is it referring to pubes because of what Muatra is?
Well, yeah. Lo column A,
lo column B. Los dos.
Yep. On its boundaries, Vivec placed a warning and a song of entrance that contained errors in it.
That sounds to me like...
Like 8-bit theme music. Yeah.
A little bit, but it almost sounds like the game cartridge is corrupted to stop people from playing it. With mock bones of half-dead Muatra, he created the tent poles of a fortress theory, and fatal languages were imprisoned for all time. That sounds to me like world building in the game. He created a separate world for the Pocket Cabal to inhabit.
Where did their Pokemon that are language?
Unknown?
Unknown, yeah. Where did they, or Unknown, or whatever they're called? When did they start showing up? Was that in Red and Blue?
So
second gen, okay. Gold, Silver.
I thought it was third gen.
No, second gen. Okay. Because the ruins of Alf are in Johto, and
okay.
That's where you first catch Sneasel, or not Sneasel, Smeargle.
Smeagol?
Smeargle.
It's a little beagle with paint on his tail, and he's an artist.
All right. Set appeared and looked on what his brother-sister had created. The Clockwork King said, "Of the 8 monsters, this is the most confusing. May I treasure it?" Okay, why is this the most confusing to Set, do you think?
Perhaps because he created the little world for them to inhabit, and Set's like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it could have something to do with the magics being so completely crazy and nuts on the inside, and Set is supposed to be the mage and studied in the Psijic Order. Sil just wants Vivec's copy of Pokemon. Yeah. Vivec's got a complete Pokedex and thought the Sil just wants to...
It's Pokemon trading.
It's maybe. Yeah, it's trading.
I want this so I can treasure it forever. I would like to trade my level 100 Pikachu for your Mewtwo, so I can treasure it for.
Vivec gave Set leave to do so, but told him never to release the Pocket Cabal into the middle world. He said, "I have hidden secrets in my travels here and made a likeness of Moatra to ward against the unwise. Under this dome, the temporal myth is no longer man." You think they play Tales of Tribute? We covered this in Sermon 13, apparently. I suggested that all mortal races on Nirn were, yes, myths bound by their mortality to time. Considering this, it is possible to envision man as the subject of the myths that are told in Tamriel. Therefore, Vivec may be inferring that within her dome head demon, the subject of the myths inside are not man, but rather something else, something not of this realm. I'm suggesting here that, of course, Vivec is saying, it's Pokemon in there, not Elder Scrolls. It's Elder Scrolls out here, it's Pokemon in there, don't go in there.
Never to release the Pocket Cabal in the middle world. Let's just leave them in there, please.
Yeah. And that's Vivec trades with Bolag, and now unknowns show up wherever Vivec tries to trip. That's why, well, Vivec walks, wherever Vivec walks, there is invisible scripture. So maybe that's the unknowns or unknowns or whatever they're supposed to be called. What do they pronounce?
Language.
Yeah, fatal language.
Something.
Fun fact, every game cartridge is a parallel universe and you trade Pokemon across space and time. You see, it wouldn't shock me if that was actually some shit that they actually said straight out in Pokemon. It would not shock me.
I mean, that was kind of how they handled the trading between Red and Blue and Gold and Silver. You had to go use the time machine to transfer Pokemon back and forth between the two. Of course, you couldn't send
it's a plot of Gen
like
6.
Unknown into Red and Blue because Unknown isn't programmed into that game, so it doesn't recognize it. But you used in-game a time machine, and you still use time machines to this day. Yeah, Oris did that.
I love that chat knows so much, that you and chat knows so much about Pokemon lore. This is terrific. I love it.
The whole thing with the Legends Arceus, that was in the distant past, but through Pokemon Home, we can bring those forward to Scarlet and Violet. Those are technically ancient Pokemon.
They walk at strange angles across the link cable.
Yeah, pretty much.
The link cable is a serpent by any other name.
Oh, man.
If I had the patience to play Pokemon,
I kind of wish I had a link cable just to be like, look, I have a link cable.
Oh yeah. Well, they're
nerd.
You got a Game Boy.
Link cables were originally like the earliest version of USB, if I recall correctly. Somebody in chat probably knows more about it than I do, but the hardware on the original Game Boy Advance.
Does this even have a port for it?
The link cable on the hardware on the Game Boy Advance is effectively a very early alpha of USB.
Hi,
kitty.
Hey.
A kitty cat.
Oh, love you. Lick the hair.
Such a sweetie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Sweet. It had the little clip in there still. That's where you would put that.
Yep. That's it.
Link cable right in there.
And the bandwidth on that cable is atrocious. It's so slow. It's appalling how bad it is.
You have to sit there with the person for like half an hour.
It is a long time. It's long. It's not that long, but it's longer than you want it to be. It's longer than it should be. And and I find it really amusing, just as an editorial here, how Nintendo hardware is, especially these days, so awful, and yet they managed to somehow get these amazing games made on them. Can't quite hear it.
See it, Andrew.
Yeah, can't quite hear it.
Oh, can't hear it?
Yeah. Nope.
No.
Vaguely, little beeps here and there. Yeah.
Huh. I wonder why it's not. I wonder why it's not going through my microphone.
Yeah, you got a noise gate on it.
I could probably use the headphone jack and
oh, please don't.
Put it in the audio end.
Edie, oh, such a fluffy sweetie.
Oh, don't like that very much. Oh, we're all right. Okay. Yeah, it's not a voice. Oh, yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be if you, Andrew, if you've got a filter on your microphone that's canceling out everything that isn't voice. That might be it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I do have.
You heard four notes and recognized. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Tordir, there's a time machine in Poke Centers, and people did like any given 10-year-old can just walk in and use it and travel back in time and eek. And what do they use it for? Trading fucking Pocket Monster.
which like when you think about it for more than 5 minutes, the Pokemon world makes no sense. Kids are sent away prepubescently to go make monsters that they catch, fight each other. And in the manga, it's a little more hardcore. Like the Pokemon die.
Yeah, they could die.
Oh, the electric tail of Pikachu was NSFW.
Yeah, and so like, you know, this is something that was happening. And so it's like, here, kids, go like make pets potentially that you form strong bonds with, and like have them fight to the death. Don't go to school anymore. By the way, we have time travel and like, you know, certain other things are free, but you absolutely have to spend like a millionaire's fortune to buy a bike. Like it's absurd.
We don't trust you behind a car. Have a walking nuke. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay. So what are we supposed to do about education? How did this world get so advanced if there's, you know, like no one, there's just so many kids out there working with Pokemon and whatnot, making them fight to the death. Like it would have been a far more stagnant society. Like what is going on? It's a fun idea of like, yeah, what if just like a bunch of weird silly monsters were just around and occasionally helped us out, and we sometimes made them fight for like sport, like, you know, weird form of wrestling. And it's like, okay. And then later generations were like, hey, what if we made the Pokemon even more humanoid? And it's like, okay, this is getting weird now.
And now we mutate them into kaiju. Pokemon want to fight each other because that's how they get stronger, and they know having a trainer makes them grow faster. Sure.
Yeah, and like, okay, so like what is the point of that? Does that mean like the Pokemon eventually become gods and then like they fix all of society's problems? Like this,
I'm sorry, gods.
But the Pokemon world just doesn't make a lot of sense.
The Pokemon are already gods. That's already happened.
Wow.
Then what's the point of making them stronger? The hierarchy's already been determined. Like it's it don't make sense.
So Arceus is at the top.
I should mention that the reason why we're talking about Pokemon so much is because Kirkbride actually confirmed on Facebook, I think, that is what this chapter is about.
Man, I miss those Facebook days with like silly lore. Yeah, and like the Nupple, those were the good days.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, that fucking
thread. It's like a spider under a whoopee cushion.
Yep.
Or Raymond Chowder.
Yeah. I still have that fucking t-shirt. Come for the chowder, stay for the nubble. I still have that shit.
Nice.
Also,
see, that's one of the deepest parts of the lore iceberg you can really get to.
Yeah,
the only thing deeper are like the IRCC chats.
Yeah.
The dangerous prince of minor inconveniences.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like
Replace Harry Potter in the bingo with Pokemon? Might have to. Yeah. Or just add it in there. I could just add it in there. Pokemon, to keep in mind, anime episodes 33 and 34. What? I'm not going to look that up, Torter. I know better than that. If this feels like these sermons are getting faster, just wait. If it feels like we're rushing through these sermons, don't worry. We still have, 27, 28, 29 especially. Oh, fuck me. 28 is going to be pretty serious. 27 is there's a lot to cover, but basically I can abbreviate it as read Nietzsche, and then you're done. 28 is going to be a lot of fun. 29 is going to take us a good couple of hours. We're going to be here forever.
Oh, geez. All right. I might have to make special plans for that day.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We might have to split it up. So, like, everybody, like, bring all your guns, because, bring both hands, because 29 is going to be a challenge.
I thought we were supposed to come to God unarmed and wreathed in hair.
I was going to say, we got to cut him off, bro.
Yeah. Don't come with both hands, come with no hands.
Yeah.
And you call yourself a lore beard. Oh my God.
We're not in front of God, you're just in front of me.
Yeah, covered head to toe and toe. Yep.
So we're gonna call it here. Only 40 minutes.
An amazingly short one.
Very short, but I mean, it's about Pokemon. What else do you fucking want?
I mean, I can battle one of y'all. I don't know.
Can I fucking beat up?
I get your ass kicked.
Sure. Okay, that's nice, dear. but like one thing I will say is that like I feel like people might think, you know, no, these guys must be meme. It's like, no, like legit, it is actually Pokemon.
Yeah, it is actually about
I
Pokemon.
wish we were joking,
Yeah.
but it's not.
The
Like,
author has confirmed that it's about Pokemon, and when you think about it that way, it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So welcome to the duality of the sermons, where some are, you know, deeply fascinating. You can parse apart like 2 sentences for an hour,
Mhm.
and then there's others where Kirkbride's just like, nah, man, it's about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So we will too many telltales. Yeah, probably. So we will catch everybody in 2 weeks. I hope. Hopefully no
Fingers
delays
crossed.
this time. Everybody go goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.